It always sucks to see a series fail, whether it be a new IP that you were looking forward to playing only for it to turn out pretty mediocre, or an established franchise dropping the ball and churning out some absolute schlock. I'm not just focusing on bad games here, but instead, games that led to the demise of a series. Let's not waste any time and get into it with Lunar Dragon Song. Now, I've heard things about this game, those things not being very good, might I add. The Lunar series definitely isn't dead, so I thought it would be cool to start with this one since it's a little on the lighter side if you know what I mean. Despite how bad this game is in particular, it's funny to look back on in hindsight and laugh at how bad it is. For those of you unfamiliar with the Lunar series, well, it's just a series of RPGs spanning most of the 90s. It's pretty iconic among most RPG enjoyers, but not as recognizable as a lot of the standout RPGs of the era. Despite that, the games preceding this specific one were pretty solid and gained a decent following along the years. What's particularly sad about this game though is that it's actually the last new game in the series, which this thing came out in 2009 by the way, 2009. This series may not be dead, but damn are we starved for some new content. But enough backstory. Why is this game so bad in the first place? Well, let's start with the most infamous thing about this game. In this RPG, running hurts you. Yeah, let me say that again. Running hurts you. Like, you lose health when running, and I genuinely don't understand why they thought this was a good idea. This one mechanic is indicative of everything wrong with this game. It's riddled with so many baffling design choices that make almost no sense from a game design perspective. For example, you don't get both XP and money after a battle. Instead, you must choose one or the other, which basically requires you to grind twice as much for literally no reason. And I like grinding, okay? I'm the guy who spent 20 hours grinding in Final Fantasy VI. I'm not averse to grinding, but this is ridiculous. It feels like a caricature of low-budget 2000s DS RPGs. That aside, even then, the game's kinda joyless. It lacked the charm of the previous games, which is what drew so many people towards those ones. The aesthetic is akin to a Flash RPG made in 2011, and traversing this world just isn't fun. And you can't choose what enemies you want to target in battles, so yeah, no, this game is the Antichrist actually. It was received pretty poorly with mediocre to bad reviews, and sold even worse, making this a flop. On the bright side, it's a very enjoyable game to make fun of. Stream this game with some friends or something, and I guarantee you'll be laughing your ass off every 5 minutes. But it's less funny when you realize this is the last new game and then you just feel bad again and you want to cry about it. I can't take it anymore, man. Little Town Hero. A while back, this game was revealed in the Nintendo Direct and was announced to be developed and published by Game Freak. Well, that certainly caught it some attention, especially since it was a new IP. I couldn't care any less at the time, since I wasn't an RPG enjoyer back then, so I tuned this thing out for years. And I think most of us completely forgot this thing existed too. Well, let me tell you, it exists, and it's pretty bad. Really shockingly bad. I'm gonna say this right now, the first thing I notice is the ugly ass visuals. I'm not one to harp on graphics or anything, but man, it just looks so rough visually. It's very empty and sorta lifeless, at least the environments. I probably shouldn't expect anything less from modern Game Freak, but man, what is this? It's just so sterile, and there's no real sense of adventure. I know this game is called Little Town Hero, but I find it ridiculous that you don't even leave your town once in the game. But who cares about all of that, am I right? I mean, the same could be said about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet in regards to visuals, but those games are actually pretty good. Let's see, what do people think about the gameplay? Oh, that's not good. I think that this is one of those games that is so mediocre that it actually just becomes even worse because of it. Literally nothing about it is fun or engaging. The battles are convoluted, but also somehow too simplistic at the same time. The story and characters are milquetoast, as well as the environments. I mean, this thing, published by Game Freak by the way, only has 12 reviews on Steam. I'm not one to judge a game's sales or popularity based on Steam reviews, but I think that really says something right there. The first game of a series needs to make a pretty good impression with at least a decent number of people for it to really warrant being expanded on. But it looks like this left no real strong impression on anybody, and it's kinda dead in the water. It contributed literally nothing to the cultural landscape, and honestly, I can't believe this thing even exists. Also, Toby Fox did some music for this game. That's neat, I guess. That's 2 bad RPGs Toby Fox has done music for. No, I'm not gonna diss Yeek like that. Yeek is good, man. I'm tired of pretending it's not. It seems that some people were able to find some value in this game, especially the combat, but the overall consensus is pretty negative. Either way, it's always nice to see people enjoy something despite its perceived flaws. Too bad they probably ain't getting another game, am I right? Breath of Fire 5. I'm certainly fond of the Breath of Fire series. The first game was my first real RPG, and I remember really loving it. And the second game is one of the best RPGs ever crafted by human hands in my opinion, with the third game being one of the best ones on the PS1. Haven't played the fourth one though, so screw me I guess. Now, many people will argue the series died with Breath of Fire 5 or Dragon Quarter. It's been described as being too experimental or straying too far away from the original games. Consensus is overall pretty mixed, but it seems to have driven a considerable chunk of people away from the game. I haven't played it personally, so I can't really give an opinion, but it doesn't matter because I'm not talking about this game anyway. I faked you out. Instead, I'm talking about Breath of Fire 6 instead. A mobile game, ooh boy. You know what I think about mobile RPGs. One thing you must understand is Breath of Fire fans really love Breath of Fire. And after Dragon Quarter, it seemed people were craving a return to normality. But they did not get that, let me tell you. Instead, they got the most generic ass mobile RPG I've ever seen. Tell an AI to make a garbage mobile RPG that looks like it came out of a shitty YouTube ad and it'd probably churn out this thing. I mean really, what can I say? It's just your average bad mobile RPG, except it's phrased like it's supposed to be a new entry in a beloved franchise. Imagine if Atlas announced Persona 6 and it was a fishing game. Actually no, I'd like that. Bad analogy, it'd probably end up being my favorite game in the series actually. Worst of all about Breath of Fire 6 though, is that it wasn't even released in America. Although, maybe that's a good thing actually. It died not even 2 years after being released, a pretty pathetic end to such a great series. I've not lost hope that Breath of Fire will come back, and I'm looking forward to the day when my baby comes home. But for now, you know, I still gotta play 4. I don't know why I'm complaining, I haven't even beat all the games yet. Super Chinese World 3. Unlike these other games, Super Chinese World 3 can't really be blamed for killing the series. It more so acts as the embodiment of why this series just doesn't exist anymore in the first place. To catch up most of you guys who don't know anything about this series, it's basically a beat 'em up with RPG mechanics. It started with a level-based game on the Famicom called Kung Fu Heroes, but it didn't really form its identity until Little Ninja Brothers. But does it really matter because that identity sucks? Okay, I'm gonna come off as a little bit of a hater here, but I legitimately cannot stand this series. From the very start, I had heard bad things, but I still came in with an open enough mind. I was eager to play the NES game, but that was boring and bland, although I can definitely see how this appealed to people back in the day. I then played Super Chinese World 2 and 3 for my Cozy Obscure Famicom video, and had so little to say about them that I removed them from the script and relegated them to a small rant at the very end of the video. And I think Super Chinese World 3 is indicative of why this series failed. It was way too derivative. Every game is basically a carbon copy. I mean, it says a lot when the NES game is basically the same as the one that came out 6 years later. And it doesn't help that there are 6 games in between those, which makes it come off as more tired and uninspired. The 1995 SNES game is somehow just as clunky feeling as the 1989 NES game. They tried something a little bit different by adding an option for turn-based combat, but it just wasn't enough. You know how some people say the RPG mechanics and stuff like Paper Mario or the Mario and Luigi RPGs are too basic? Well, oh boy, try playing this game, because as a turn-based RPG, it's absolutely insulting. I think by focusing on a turn-based option instead of actually improving the mechanics that were already there, they shot themselves in the foot with this one. And alas, this is the very last mainline game of the franchise, with there being only a few spin-offs that completely abandoned the whole RPG angle after this. A fitting demise for a pretty underwhelming and forgettable series, huh? Oni Zero, Sengoku, Ransei, Hyakkaryouran. Oh, I'm not gonna pronounce that, man. I'm sorry. Saving this one for last because it's almost too obscure for this video. I was gonna straight up remove it, but I already had to play this abomination, so now you have to hear me talk about it. I think this game kind of represents what happens to a great product that just isn't appreciated enough. The Oni series is very obscure and low-key got shafted if you ask me. They were a very solid string of RPGs with some of the best on their respective systems, but never really got the attention they needed to take off, and sadly enough, a series like this isn't really sustainable. Staying a hidden gem, despite how much people appreciate you, isn't financially viable. So of course, things had to downsize until we eventually got to this thing. The last Oni game ever made, releasing in 2007. Which, this isn't even really an Oni game. This is a random piece of shovelware using the Oni IP to get a few extra sales from devoted fans who have probably been craving more content since the last game, which came out in, oh god, 2001. Man, Silksong fans thought they had it rough. Y'all ain't got nothing on Oni fans, man. This is awful. I feel so bad for them. It's not even an RPG. It keeps the aesthetic of the previous games, but basically nothing else. It's just kinda sad, actually. It's the video game embodiment of that guy who was a boss at football in high school, but then broke his ankle, which led to a spiral that eventually led to him selling his mixtapes in the bathroom of a New York subway. It's 2025, Jim. No one buys mixtapes anymore. I don't know what you're doing. This game is just very odd and not at all fun to play. It's really weird, actually. I know the DS was home to a lot of bland puzzle games that use the IPs of previously existing series, but something feels particularly bleak about this one. Rip the Oni series, man. All it took was one bad game for you to disappear forever. Let's be real though, this series was already on its way out either way. I think this video can teach the lesson of being more appreciative for things. It's always depressing to see a great series crash and burn. So when something does end up amazing, I think we should realize how commendable that really is. Anyway, I'm gonna go back to flipping burgers because man, I am broke after that market crash. I'm losing money as we speak. Good morning, good evening, good night, whatever. Peace out.